apparently there's a tie to ScrewAttack, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about the first story you broke on Friday, which was the idea that they are working with a group called the Powell Group. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what exactly is going on with this?
So basically, it appears that this actually happened very recently, where Sweet Baby Inc. decided to partner with this group, the Powell Group, who is basically another consulting kind of company. But at least it seems like this one had a little bit more credibility behind it. Like the person involved, Jay Powell, seems to have some pretty decent connections and seems to actually like have some goodwill maybe behind him. But basically, they partnered with Sweet Baby Inc. and announced it on their page. On their LinkedIn page, and they made a whole section of their consulting page website for for Sweet Baby Inc. A funny thing though is they, after I made a video on it and other people picked it up and ran with it, it would appear they're very aware that we found them out, because they wiped the part of their website, and they also wiped all their LinkedIn posts. So any LinkedIn posts that mentioned that they're partnered with Sweet Baby Inc. are gone now. And I think Vera Dark had where you could see the website is, if you go, there was a specific tab that was for the consulting, and it had like a couple colored blocks and like the Sweet Baby Inc. spiral in front of it. And it was clearly like it was announcing their partnership, and it's now gives an error. It says game over. Nothing's here. You might want to search. So they clearly know. And then the funniest part, and this is a like newer information, they forgot to remove Sweet Baby Inc. from their the services page. So it still showed them there, and someone alerted me to it, and I made a post about it. And within 20 minutes of making that post, it was removed from the service page. So clearly they're watching. Clearly they know. So,
hey everybody, good to see you. So question, who is the Powell Group? Who are they? What do they do? Why would they want to partner with Sweet Baby Inc.?
Well, they're a consulting group. They want to do sensitivity consulting and stuff that Sweet Baby Inc. pretty much does as well. They also help people reach a bigger audience, and and they have a ton of connections. According to their last investor call, they actually had, well, not investor call, but they had an investor thing that they released at the end of the year. They had basically, I think it was 500 investors and 600, or like some odd number of a huge number of people working that they work with, and a ton of investors. So basically what the goal here is Sweet Baby Inc. is using their name to kind of hide, because they know now, to be fair, and I announced this before, we got an article recently of former member of Sweet Baby Inc., Grant Roberts, came out basically saying that Sweet Baby Inc. hasn't been affected. What people kind of missed in my original video when I announced about the Powell Group is that I said the same thing. I said that I've been told that they haven't actually been affected aside from firing Chris Kindred, and it turns out that that's correct. But they have been affected in a way, because the negative press has not been great for them. It's been good for them in certain ways and bad for them in some ways. But they've been kind of able to batten down the hatches and kind of just keep working. And because they keep working, basically, they decided to hide behind the Powell Group's name because it's more trusted, whatever, so they can kind of do it. And that basically kind of happens afterwards, is that they're using that name as like a backdoor into the industry to make it so that they can kind of appeal to a wider audience and appeal to all this other stuff without having the same, I guess, negative impression of the Sweet Baby Inc. name, because they know that we're kind of on to them. You're still muted, Craig.
I was just talking to myself. Did you see Savvy's post about the connection with Jay Powell and the IGDA? Did you see that post?
I did see that. I didn't look into it too much because I've been really busy on my end, but I did see it.
Well, we're going to get to what else you've been working on in a second, but I did want to kind of read through this, because Savvy will take things that you have, and she kind of goes, even like you guys both are just incredible at like diving autistically into these things, and you both have your great strengths when it comes to researching. And she's, I was talking to her, she did 5 minutes of research, and she said, I can already connect the Powell Group to 2 other things that I'm already mapping. Once again, the usual suspects connect so easily together, presenting themselves as a larger group, when in reality, it boils back down to the same handful of people. Jay Powell, founder of, is on the IGDA board, which, along with one of the other staffers on the Powell Group, the IGDA is quite the DEI promoter, a nonprofit that has partnered with some big names, and no doubt there's cross benefit from working with these folks. So, who is the IDGA? Are you familiar with this group at all?
A little bit. Okay. As I said, I didn't get a chance to look into this specifically. I when I found out the connection and they had a specific page for Sweet Baby Inc. on their website, that's what I ran with. So, as regards to my flow chart, which we'll see soon, it has them on there, but it doesn't have their connections yet, because it was more. I thought it was more important when I found that. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is not just we're partnered, but we're not going to kind of do anything. This is clearly like something more. So that's what I ran with at the time.
So the IGDA is the International Game Developers Association, and there it is right there. So like SBI through the Powell Group is directly linked to the International Game Developers Association. This is a deep rabbit hole, which I know you guys are just now getting to. But how about you pull up your sheet here? I'll get this up for you. Okay, what exactly are we looking at here?
Well, I forget how to present this thing. Hold on. There you go.
Yeah, sure.
So what you're looking at here is a comprehensive timeline of Sweet Baby Inc. If you'll see, it starts at 20. People don't realize it actually started. The seeds for it started in 2011, and it goes to current day. 2015, 2025, which hasn't gotten there yet. But I basically mapped out everything and what I believe the connections are. And there's a couple interesting things to take away from this. So first off, in 2011, Ariane McGilvery, who was one of the founding members of Sweet Baby Inc., started a new job at Blind Ferret Entertainment. So Blind Ferret is a company that actually works with a couple different people. As you'll see here, it says that they work with Apple, Netflix, Nintendo, Sega, Team 17, Activision Blizzard, Riot Games, Disney, Ubisoft, and Gameloft. So they work with quite a number of people. And this is where I believe Sweet Baby Inc. began, or at least the idea for it, because so we talked about these podcasts over here, the Sexiest Podcast and the WrestleGamia Podcast. The Sexiest Podcast being... Go ahead.
Yeah, and these are the two podcasts that were started by Kim Belair.
Yes. Well, there's actually another podcast that came before this, which is what I was going to get to here. If you'll look down here, in 2012, there was the Watchtower podcast, and it actually had a lot of episodes. But there's an interesting rabbit hole to be explored here still that I'm getting to. There's some interesting connections to an interesting news show called Naked News. Don't even ask.
Okay.
But the interesting point is, if we go and look down here, I'm not as familiar with it. There you go. So don't have time to explore them. Jeff and Ari have the time, though. So which Ariane McGilvery? So it was her first podcast. But what gets interesting is right here you can see a book. It's called Pure Steel. It's a hardcover book that was made in 2013, and it was made by Ariane McGilvery and Kim Belair. So it was literally a collaboration between the two of them. Actually, last night I spoke about this with Smash JT, and he actually ordered, I think it's out of print. He ordered one off of eBay. So at some point we'll get to read it, because it's full of feminism stuff. But the interesting part here is Blind Ferret Entertainment. Why is that important? Because it's the same company as Blind Ferret. It's the same. It's Blind Ferret Entertainment. However, the interesting part is, if we take a look at Blind Ferret and we go a bit further, in 2018, right around the time at the end of 2018, where Sweet Baby Inc. was founded, Blind Ferret Entertainment changed their name to Laughing Dragon Studios. And Laughing Dragon Studios is known for Death Battle. So Death Battle is a channel that some people here may be familiar with. I know, and basically if we want to take a closer look here, Death Battle was hosted on so it's hosted on Death Battle YouTube channel, formerly known as ScrewAttack. So literally,
sorry.
So
you
literally
started this, Craig.
Literally right before, or maybe even right after, Craig decided to leave, these people were involved. Now, whether they were involved behind the scenes or not is kind of unclear. I wouldn't be surprised if they were involved kind of from the get-go.
So allow me to kind of clear the air here. Okay. So this says 2018 is when they made the switch, and that's when they started working with Death Battle. Is that correct?
I believe so. I can look right here.
So I left ScrewAttack in 2016. So this is at least a year and a half, because I left in October of 2016. So from there, and I was not there for the rebrand of ScrewAttack to Death Battle. So for the record, I did not have anything to do with these people. And but I will say this, hiring people to produce animations and stuff, that's something that was a pretty standard thing back in the day. Now, I obviously don't know who this company is, and I never knew who this company is. That was definitely done through Ben and Chad, and probably Sean Hines, who was running that channel after I left. So yeah, I left in 2016. You said they worked in 2018. So I don't know. And honestly, I haven't really had any communication with anybody really since then. So, but yes, it was me. I was me all along.
It's like the Scooby-Doo meme where it takes the mask off and it's Craig
right
underneath instead of Kim Belair.
That's right.
But they could have been working there earlier. I don't know. I haven't found more information on that, but they changed their name in 2018. So I don't know if it was 2018 they changed their name and then got involved with ScrewAttack. They could have been involved beforehand. I don't really know. I'm looking into that more. But I did want to point something out. I know Madam Savvy went into this a bit as well, but I went through and found a list of all the podcasts that they did for the Sexiest podcast.
Yeah.
And I found every single member on it who had a connection to the gaming industry. And I mapped them all here.
Dude, it looks like a power panel.
But wait, if you look, they all have something in common.
They're all going one place, aren't they?
Work at Ubisoft.
Oh, baby. There we go. Wow. And you want to know.
Fucking Ubisoft.
Every single line. The pink lines, I made it pink because the Sexiest podcast. And they all go to Ubisoft. They also go other places. There's like Warner Brothers, Montreal, Compulsion Games, Bungie, a bunch of other places. I also mapped out every single person that are publicly available at Sweet Baby Inc. So now we know who they are and where they worked and whether they still work there. Including, there was an article recently from Grant Roberts. Here he is. You can actually see that he used to work at Sweet Baby Inc. until October of 2024. And before that, he was a lead writer for Rocksteady, and before that, Bungie. So he's got some interesting connections. But the interesting thing I wanted to point out here, before I know we have limited time, but I wanted to point out one interesting connection that I think there's more to dig into here. Mm-hmm. So if we go here to Gamergate 1, right? Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, Nita Sarkeesian, Feminist Frequency. A company was created called out of this called Weird Ghosts. And people knew this connection before to Sweet Baby Inc., but I don't think they knew entirely what the connection, how interesting it is. So if we follow this connection here, if we look right at the end of 2023, like literally a couple months, we get this post. Today we celebrate the 7 studios joining cohort 3 of Baby Ghosts. They hail from Edmonton to Montreal, London to whatever, and you see, boom, Sweet Baby Inc. right there. And it wasn't just them. Chris Kindred decided to comment on this as well, saying he was so glad to be part of this cohort. Now, why am I bringing this up? We know this connection somewhat. Why am I bringing it up? Because if you'll look on here, and I did this on purpose, you'll see Gamergate 2 started right at the beginning, around the beginning of 2024. And literally a couple months before that, literally just a couple months, Sweet Baby Inc. joined Baby Ghosts, a company connected to the first Gamergate. So I find that really interesting because it just seems very, like, I don't want to say, I'm like not want to jump into like conspiracy territory, but it seems very odd that they would get funding and connected with Baby Ghosts a couple months before Gamergate 2. And they like that's what they kicked it off. Like, they obviously, I'm not saying they planned it or whatever, but it's an interesting connection to say the least, because it's like 1 or 2 months before they were directly connected to the original Gamergate. So,
well, this is autistically like amazing, right? I love the level of research that you put into this, man. And it's eye-opening to see, especially just seeing the lines all point to Ubisoft, right? And you see Ubisoft in its current state right now, and you're like, well, why do they fail? And it's like, well, there you go, you know? Great work, man. Great work. And I'm sorry that a company that I started and founded, that I later left, later worked with these fuckfaces. So in some way, it's a loose connection, but you know, hey, it is what it is. I've said all along, when it comes, if you were to play the Kevin Bacon game, the 6 degrees of separation, whatever it is, like, we're probably connected to a little bit of everything along the way. So because the video game industry, as big as you think it is, it's actually pretty small. So with that said, great job, Master of the TDS friend. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MasterTDS or on Instagram at MasterTDS. I mostly post our videos there. But you can find me on the Gothic Therapy YouTube channel. I run it with my wife, Writing Raven. We do a show there every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which we actually did one yesterday, going over some of this stuff. And I'll be putting out a video later today that's cut from that. That's going to be going over this map. So anybody who wanted to see it more in depth or wanted to kind of, you know, look through it more, it'll be there. I'm sure you guys will have it here as well. And I think Smash also has it as well to some degree. People have asked me, oh, am I going to figure out a way to like share this so everybody can look at it and everybody can whatever? It's planned. It's definitely something I plan to do, but I think there might be a bit more digging and connections that I want to do here before I, you know, put it out there. So that is something I'm keeping in mind, but I have heard people asking for it. And I definitely think that's something I want to do in the future so people can see it. But I think there's a little bit more connections I want to make first.
Well, you're doing an excellent job, man. And way to keep diving. Round of applause to you, my friend. And we're going to make sure everybody can go and check out your channel. If you want these autistic deep dives and phenomenal research, head over to Master of the TDS, and everywhere that you just said right there. So great stuff, man. Congratulations. And we'll keep an eye on your work.
Yep. Thanks for having me. And darn, I'll have to work harder to expose you next time.
All right. Sorry. You didn't quite get me. There you go. Appreciate
darn.
you.
Darn. I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for that meddling side scrollers.